Right now, over 1.2 billion rabbits are being raised for meat worldwide, more than the population of China. Yet in the US, most have never seen a rabbit farm, let alone eaten rabbit meat. Once a lifeline for families during wartime, rabbits are now being called the meat of the future, efficient, quiet, and kind to the planet. But behind this humble animal is a hidden world, from backyard hutches to industrial sheds, where rabbits live just 8 weeks and feed millions in silence. Rabbits weren't always raised for meat. For centuries, they were wild creatures, elusive, fast-breeding, and deeply tied to folklore across Europe, Africa, and Asia. The Romans were among the first to domesticate them, not for food, but for fur and sport, keeping them in walled enclosures called leperaria. But it was during times of crisis that rabbits became essential. In World War I and II, governments across Europe encouraged citizens to raise rabbits in backyards and bomb shelters. They required little space, ate kitchen scraps, and produced high-quality protein when meat was rationed. In France, Britain, and Italy, rabbit became a staple, so common it was called the meat of the poor. After the wars, industrial meat, chicken, pork, beef took over. Rabbit faded into the background in the West. But in China, Africa, the Mediterranean, and parts of Latin America, it never left. Today, China alone raises over 700 million rabbits a year. In countries like Italy, Spain, and Egypt, rabbit stew is still a traditional dish. What makes rabbits unique is their biology. A doe can give birth to 6 to 12 kits every 30 days, and those kits reach slaughter weight in just 8 to 12 weeks. They convert feed to meat more efficiently than chickens, requiring 30% less grain per pound of protein, and they need minimal water, space, or infrastructure. This efficiency made them ideal for smallholder farmers and urban homesteaders. In Cuba, during the special period of the 1990s, rabbit farming boomed as fuel and feed vanished. In Kenya, women's cooperatives raise rabbits to feed families and fund education. But as global demand grows, fueled by climate concerns and food insecurity, rabbit farming is changing. Large-scale operations are emerging in China and Vietnam, using stacked cages and automated systems not unlike poultry farms. And in the US, a quiet revival is underway. Backyard enthusiasts, survivalists, and sustainable meat advocates are building hutches in their yards. Yet rabbits remain invisible in mainstream food conversations.
Why?
Because they're small, quiet, and easily overlooked. But in a world running out of room, water, and time, the humble rabbit might be one of the most powerful animals we've ignored. Rabbit farming exists on a spectrum, from a single hutch in a backyard to warehouses holding tens of thousands of animals. But nearly all commercial systems share one feature: cages. Most meat rabbits, like the New Zealand white or Californian, are raised in tiered wire cages, stacked to save space. Does, females, live in individual breeding cages with a nest box for their kits. Bucks, males, are kept separately. Grow-out rabbits, those being raised for meat, share slightly larger cages, usually 2 to 4 per unit. The environment is controlled. Temperature kept between 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Rabbits overheat easily. Feed, pelleted alfalfa, grain, and vitamins. Delivered automatically. Water from nipple drinkers' manure falls through wire floors onto collection trays below. Rabbits are ready for harvest at 8 to 12 weeks old, weighing 4 to 5 pounds. At that point, they're typically stunned via electric or captive bolt, bled, skinned, and eviscerated. Unlike chickens or turkeys, most rabbit processing is small-scale, done on-farm or in local USDA-inspected plants. There are no high-speed lines. A skilled processor might handle 50 to 100 rabbits a day. One key difference from other livestock: rabbits are not social in confinement. In the wild, they live in loose warrens, but in cages, overcrowding causes stress, fighting, and disease. So while they're housed near each other, they're usually separated by sex and age. Breeding is tightly managed. A single doe can produce 40 to 50 kits per year. But to maintain health, responsible farms limit breeding to 6 to 8 litters annually. In industrial systems, however, does may be bred continuously until they're culled at 18 to 24 months. After slaughter, the whole rabbit is used. Prime cuts, loin, legs, go to restaurants or ethnic markets. Ground meat becomes sausages, or pate skins are tanned for gloves or crafts. Manure, odorless and cold, is prized by gardeners as the perfect fertilizer. But here's what most don't realize: rabbit farming is largely unregulated. In the US, there's no federal welfare standard for rabbits. Unlike chickens or pigs, the grass-fed or free-range label doesn't exist. And because most farms are small, oversight is minimal. Yet for many, that's the point. Rabbits offer a way to produce meat outside the industrial system, quietly, locally, and sustainably. But as demand grows, the question remains: can rabbit farming scale without losing its soul? Rabbit farming may seem low-tech: a few hutches in a backyard, a feed bucket, a water bottle. But beneath that simplicity, quiet innovation is reshaping how rabbits are raised, bred, and even marketed. In commercial operations, automated feeding and watering systems now deliver precise rations to hundreds of cages with minimal labor. Climate-controlled barns use sensors to monitor temperature and humidity, critical because rabbits are extremely sensitive to heat stress. Some facilities even use AI-powered cameras to detect signs of illness or abnormal behavior in real time. Genetics is where the biggest leaps are happening. Through selective breeding, not GMOs, farms are developing lines that grow faster, resist disease, and produce more milk for their kits. In China and Europe, research centers track feed conversion ratios down to the gram, pushing efficiency while maintaining meat quality. Then there's housing design. Modern colony systems, where rabbits roam in enclosed pens instead of cages, are gaining traction among ethical producers. These mimic natural warrens, allowing social interaction and movement. While not scalable for megafarms, they're popular with homesteaders and small meat producers. Manure management has also evolved. Because rabbit droppings are dry, odorless, and rich in nitrogen, many farms now integrate them directly into aquaponics or greenhouse systems. One rabbit can fertilize enough greens to feed a person for a month, making rabbits a cornerstone of closed-loop homesteading. And in processing, mobile slaughter units are emerging, especially in Europe, allowing small farms to comply with USDA equivalent rules without shipping animals long distances. But perhaps the most powerful innovation is digital community. Across the US, backyard rabbit breeders share genetics, feed tips, and health protocols through online forums and apps. In Africa, WhatsApp groups connect women's cooperatives to veterinary advice and market prices. Yet challenges remain. There's no major processing infrastructure for rabbits in the US. Most must be processed on-farm or through custom-exempt facilities. Vaccines and medications are limited since Big AG ignores small ruminants. And consumer awareness is low. Many still see rabbits as pets, not protein. Still, the direction is clear. Rabbit farming isn't racing toward industrial scale. It's building resilient, decentralized, human-scale systems, one hutch at a time. Because in a world of uncertainty, sometimes the smallest animal offers the biggest hope. Rabbits are often called the ultimate, climate-friendly meat, and for good reason. Compared to beef, rabbit meat produces 90% less greenhouse gas per pound. It uses 75% less water and 90% less land. And because rabbits eat high-fiber forage like alfalfa, not soy or corn, they don't drive deforestation or compete with human crops. Their manure is another asset. Unlike chicken or pig waste, rabbit droppings are cold, dry, and odorless, ready to sprinkle straight on gardens without composting. A single doe's annual output can fertilize a 100-square-foot vegetable plot. In permaculture circles, they're called the perfect livestock for this reason. But not all rabbit farming is equal. In backyard and small farm systems, rabbits are part of a closed loop. Kitchen scraps and garden trimmings become feed. Manure feeds crops, meat feeds families, nothing is wasted. But in large-scale operations, especially in China and parts of Europe, intensification brings familiar problems. Stacked cages limit movement, increasing stress and disease. Antibiotics are sometimes used preventively. And while manure is valuable, overconcentration in industrial sheds can overwhelm local soil capacity. And then there's feed sourcing. Even though rabbits eat hay, that alfalfa often comes from water-intensive monocultures in drought-prone regions like California. If scaled globally without care, rabbit farming could still strain resources. Yet rabbits offer unique restoration potential. In arid regions, they thrive on marginal land where cattle can't. In urban settings, they turn food waste into protein. And because they reproduce quickly, they're a rapid response food source during disasters, something aid agencies are starting to explore. The real sustainability advantage, though, is scale. Rabbits don't need massive infrastructure. A family can raise enough for their needs in a 10 by 10 foot space. Women in Kenya, students in Cuba, and homesteaders in Oregon all use them the same way, quietly, efficiently, and independently. So the question isn't, are rabbits sustainable? It's, can we keep rabbit farming human scale before it gets absorbed into the industrial machine? Because when rabbits are raised with respect, they don't just feed us. They reconnect us to a simpler, more resilient way of living. And in a fragile world, that might be their greatest gift. Rabbit meat isn't exotic, it's everyday survival for millions. In Italy, coniglio al forno, roast rabbit, is a Sunday staple. In Spain, conejo en salmorejo simmers in kitchens from Madrid to Andalusia. In China, rabbit hot pot is a delicacy in Sichuan. And in West Africa, Rabbit stew feeds families where other meat is too expensive. But beyond cuisine, rabbits are economic equalizers. For smallholder farmers, especially women, rabbits offer a rare advantage. Low startup cost. A pair costs $20 to $50. Minimal space. A backyard hutch is enough. Fast return. First harvest in 3 months. No need for land ownership. In Kenya, women's groups raise rabbits to fund school fees and healthcare. In Cuba, after the Soviet collapse, rabbit farming helped stave off famine. In rural Mexico, families keep rabbits alongside chickens and pigs as a protein safety net. In the U.S., rabbit story is different. Once common during the Great Depression and World Wars, it faded as industrial meat took over. Today, most Americans see rabbits as pets, not food. But a quiet revival is growing. Homesteaders raise them for self-reliance. Ethnic communities, Vietnamese, Mexican, Mediterranean, keep traditions alive. Sustainable meat advocates praise their low footprint. Yet the market remains tiny. The U.S. produces less than 1% of the world's rabbit meat. Most is sold frozen at ethnic markets or direct from farms. There's no Tyson of rabbits, no major brand, no grocery store presence, no holiday tradition. That invisibility has a cost. Without scale, rabbit farmers struggle to access processing, insurance, or feed discounts. Many operate in legal gray zones, relying on custom-exempt slaughter rules that limit sales. But that's also their strength. Rabbit farming resists industrialization. It thrives in the margins, in backyards, on balconies, in community gardens. It empowers those left out of the mainstream food system. So when you eat rabbit, you're not just choosing lean protein. You're choosing a model of food that's decentralized, resilient, and deeply human. Because in a world of monopolies and megafarms, sometimes the quietest animal speaks the loudest truth. Rabbit farming stands at a quiet crossroads, and which path it takes could redefine what sustainable meat really means. On one side, decentralized resilience. This is rabbit's natural state. Backyard hutches, women's cooperatives, homesteaders, and small farms raising animals on scraps, hay, and garden waste. Technology here isn't about automation. It's about connection. Online breed exchanges, mobile vet advice, shared manure composting. In this future, rabbits remain a tool for food sovereignty, not corporate profit. On the other side, industrial scaling. As climate pressures mount and meat alternatives surge, investors are taking notice. In China, Vietnam, and parts of Europe, mega rabbitries with thousands of stacked cages are already operating, mirroring industrial poultry. Automated feeders, genetic selection for speed, and centralized processing are creeping in. The risk: losing the very traits that make rabbits sustainable: low stress, genetic diversity, and human-scale care. But a third path is emerging, one that blends old and new. In regenerative agriculture, rabbits are becoming micro-livestock anchors. Integrated into permaculture systems, they fertilize greens, clear brush, and provide protein, all in a 10 by 10 foot footprint. In urban food justice projects, they're teaching city youth about cycles of life and waste. And in disaster resilience planning, aid groups are exploring rabbits as rapid response protein for refugee camps. Policy is slowly catching up. The FAO now lists rabbits as climate-smart livestock. In the EU, welfare standards for rabbits are being debated. And in the US, USDA pilot programs are testing mobile processing for small rabbit producers. For indigenous and landless communities, rabbits represent autonomy, a way to produce meat without land ownership, credit, or supply chains. And consumers hold quiet power. Every backyard hutch built, every ethnic market supported, every farm direct purchase made sends a signal. We value systems that empower, not extract. Because rabbits were never meant to be factory animals. They're survivors, adapters, quiet revolutionaries. And in a world running out of room, water, and time, their smallness might just be their greatest strength. If this journey through the world of rabbit farming changed how you see that quiet backyard hutch or that stew in a Mediterranean kitchen, you're not alone. Rabbits aren't just animals. They're teachers of resilience, keepers of self-reliance, and for millions, a lifeline in uncertain times. So we're curious, could you raise rabbits in your own yard? Would you try rabbit meat if it meant a lighter footprint and a fairer food system? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. We read every one. If this opened your eyes, do us a quick favor. Hit like, share this with someone who loves sustainable living or global food stories, and subscribe if you haven't already. We're on a mission to uncover how our food is really made, with honesty, depth, and respect. Next time, we dive into the luxurious, controversial world of duck farming. From Peking duck banquets to foie gras farms, we'll explore how ducks became both a delicacy and a dilemma. Stay curious, eat thoughtfully, and we'll see you in the next one.